Thank you so much for joining me on Awakening with Russell Brand. Today we're going to talk about what is currently known as ecotherapy, and I'm going to be addressing some of your comments from our last video, which was a video I've done with my wife Laura. Ecotherapy, of course, means spending time in nature, harmonizing with nature, and I think it's fascinating to you that our language has had to evolve and develop to accommodate and frame something that is, of course, essential, because we and nature are one. We evolved from nature, we are part of nature, and I suppose we're only separated by the three significant human revolutions. And correct me in the comments if I've missed anything here, because how could I not? I'm just one person of limited education. The agricultural revolution, where we achieve mastery over nature, animal husbandry and like monoculture, the development of like cultivation of plants and that. The Industrial Revolution, where we achieve mastery over machines, and the ongoing technological revolution, where we achieve mastery over all things to a granular and almost sub-particular level through AI technology and all of technology's numerous disciplines. Before we get into the necessary connection between our kind, and I mean all of us, isn't that beautiful to see us once again as a human family when we live in such culturally adrift and culturally bereft, culturally rifted times, as one unit evolved from a single physical event, i.e. the Big Bang, a single evolutionary path that has led us to where we are now. Evolved apes draped in kimonos doing videos for your amusement. First though, before we get into that, I just want to talk to you about the last video we've done, where we talked about my wife's book, Joy Journal for Grown-Ups. My wife Laura, she does these books about craft and the importance of craft for like well-being. This really funny thing happened one time. This woman come and took us for a walk. I think she was called Alison, right? She's a therapist who does nature therapy, actually, interestingly. So she took us for a walk and she gave us like this circle, this laminated circle with colours that you might find in nature, like about 7 different greens: sage green, mint green, livid lurid greens, and then like but some pinks and purples and yellows and browns and stuff. And she went, you've got to find something of every colour, and you start to look at nature differently. If that's this kind of green, and then you clip it on there with a little peg. Oh, it's so satisfying. I asked her about herself, this woman Alison, and she goes, oh well, these things are all developed, they help people with like mental health issues to connect to nature. And I was going, yeah, but like I'm finding it really helpful. And then she just sort of looked at me like, That's when I realised I was officially a mentally ill person. So Laura does sort of comparable things, Laura, who I'm married to, but for craft. Currently on this channel, we've got 374,000 subscribers. It's our little ambition, because of, I don't know, numerical objectives, to have 1 million subscribers. So if you don't subscribe yet, subscribe right now. Here are some of the comments that we got on that last video where me and Laura were talking about breathing and marbling techniques, different craft techniques, and the things that those craft techniques can bring up. This is from Jenny G. She's been a subscriber for 1 year. Jenny, thanks for being with us on this journey. I like that Laura incorporates breathing techniques in her craft groups. I make candles, salt scrubs, oils with crystals, essential oils, and sometimes herbs, mostly for rituals. Oh, the importance of ritual, Jenny. It's absolutely vital. Some would call me a witch. Yeah, my wife's a bit like that. I like to think of myself as a goddess instead. I don't think of witch as a negative thing. I like the old witches. I think it's probably gone through some sort of filter of misogyny, no? But a woman connected to nature, making potions and spells and feeling integrated into nature in a way that's difficult if you're overly masculine person of any gender. I like that. When she started to talk about how she incorporated breath work, that's what I found fascinating. She lit it up. Yeah, she's good at that, isn't she, Laura? This is from Holly Tull. She's been subscribing for 4 months. I get creative when my hands are in the dirt of the garden. I feel connected with the earth. I love watching things grow and flourish. Yeah, I feel that, Holly. This is from Kelly Payne. She's been a subscriber for 1 month. I love this conversation. I've done lots of inner work, experimental type classes over the years. The best ones always incorporate time for creative expression or processing the experience. Laura sounds like a really compassionate, gifted teacher. Follow Laura. She does most of her stuff on Instagram. She's at Joy Journal there, but you'll find her under Laura Brand as well. She does a lot of things. She's got a lot of great content, and of course her books, Joy Journal for Kids, Joy Journal for Adults, they're available. We'll put a link to them if you want them. Now, ecotherapy, in a sense, is a neologism that describes your relationship with nature and its therapeutic value. So things that qualify as ecotherapy these days might be community gardening, farming, guided walks, wilderness retreats and animal-assisted therapy. I do all of them things. Community gardening, I don't do that really, but I've been in a few community gardens for drug addicts and stuff like that, recovering drug addicts. Farming, I think like gentle farming, you've got to respect farming, haven't you? Like they know more about animals than we do, even though I'm a vegan and I don't want to mess with the animals and stuff. You've got to respect these things when done correctly and connectedly. Guided walks, yeah, all right. Wilderness retreats, sweet lady wilderness, and animal-assisted therapy. If I go 10 minutes without beer, I get edgy. Early practitioners of psychology, such as Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung and William James, all refer to incorporating nature into their work with patients. Because many of our psychological problems are obviously as a result of a disconnection from nature. I don't mean the contact with trees, and like there are a lot of people, arborists and all that, that will tell you that there's all sorts of like sub-particular vapors getting released off of them and stuff, and fungi experts tell you that spores are being released. There are things that we need to breathe. There are patterns of movements in trees that are hypnotic and relieving. Sometimes when you allow your focus to go soft, you can see the pixelated magic in a tree that seems to disrupt nature as its leaves move in a breeze. We have to have these sights as part of our lives. We can't be forever tethered to objective, material objective here on our present planet, forever contained between four walls, whether they are mental or physical walls, never transgressing, never crossing, never exploring. Nature, in its unruly beauty, in its subtle and constant patterns that move on a different rhythm beyond our timelines, remind us that there is more than our self-centered perspective of reality. Reality don't move in accordance with just our senses or in accordance with just our will or in accordance with just our agenda and objectives. It moves with a pattern that is deeper still. These rhythms and fractals evident every day that we see in trees and leaves and in the movement of the seas, we are part of these. We are part of the necessary harmony that these things provide. And if we lose our connection to that, what hope do we have? Jung, of course, his most popular theory was of the collective unconscious. The idea that there is a oneness, a unity that underwrites our apparently individual consciousness. Freud talks about the significance of dreams. He called them Gabor Mate. He reminded me the other day in a conversation that we had, the royal road to the unconscious. And William James says that consciousness itself is a multi-layered, multivalent, separated phenomena that we lose sight of, or there are aspects of consciousness that we never connect with. Right now I can see this amazing kite flying around over there. Kites are, like, they exploded in this area, their population did, after they were near extinction. And there's a magpie. Oh God, I've got to do all this stuff. Hello, Mr. Magpie, good to see you, sir. Like, often these superstitions are, I believe, sort of deracinated rituals that come from the time where we would necessarily have had more concrete relationships with nature. The same way that the shaman becomes a clown when you lose connection with the sacred is the way that superstition is ritual robbed of its meaning. Divested of this meaning, what is our life? Nature can provide us with that most fundamental thing, a connection to purpose, a connection to meaning. Now, it was agreed that I would end this conversation about the fundamental necessity of our relationship to nature by plunging myself into an ice bath. Because one way that I connect to nature is by unlocking dormant capacities within myself. Of course, Wim Hof is the person that brought it to my attention. Tony Robbins was a person that brought it to my attention. Tony Robbins, when he came on our podcast, said, every day I get in that ice bath, and I say to myself, you're getting in there, buddy. I go, you're very aggressive for yourself, aren't you, mate? Couldn't you just be, right, come on, let's get into the ice bath now, Russell. And that's more how I talk to myself. Wim Hof has popularized many yogic and shamanic techniques. He is a great innovator. He is a modern-day shaman. I love Wim. You've got to join us for that July the 10th event if you can. There's a link in the description to tickets, along with a link to Laura's book. If you're not doing ice work yourself, consider it as a route to your inner nature. If you're not spending time in nature yourself, start and send us pictures, images, comments. Join my mailing list at russellbrand.com so you can become part of our community, so you know what we're doing, what we're up to, where we're going. Right. What I'm going to do right now is peel off this little robe, get rid of perhaps some of the sound equipment. Shall I take that off? And you can join me in that ice bath. Look at this, pieces of ice with stuff in them. Like corrugated bits of ice. So that's one way of connecting with nature. Make yourself freezing cold, but get amongst it. Be with our sweet friend, sweet lady nature. I'm just a regular guy in his pants kissing a leaf. This could be you too. Get connected to nature. Call it ecotherapy, call it good old-fashioned walking, call it just being a human. Let me know in the comments how you connect to nature. Show us the way that you connect to nature. Remember to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell and give us a like and share it around. Thank you. Stay free.